So a little bit about myself. My background is mostly vulnerability management. That's what I do now. Vulnerability scans and penetration testing, the fun stuff. And then sometimes I'm like the subject matter expert for people in like a boring audit. So that's a little bit of my background. But now I do vulnerability management, of which is not going to be easy. So I have my work cut out for me. Anyways. I made this little, I'm actually kind of representing, starting back over because I started talking and because there's time, whatever. So I'm starting from the beginning. This is a cute little word cloud I made for a different slide deck I did at KSU. This is from a vulnerability scanner, Nessus, and I made a word cloud out of someone's internal vulnerability scan results. So this is what corporations look like today. And as you can see, the biggest words are multiple vulnerabilities and remote. Like, that's not good. So, yeah. Management, VMware is a big one. That's kind of noise. ESXi is more noise. SMB stuff, there's Phreak. Execution, Oracle. Anyways, I thought it was kind of cute. It's a simple way to sum up where we're at in security today. So here, someone tripping, guy. This is from another slide deck. I'm not centered for whatever reason. Is that the thing or something else?
Whenever I unplugged it, it might have.
Yeah, I'll refresh it, see if it cybers. Well, let me change my resolution. 800 by 600. Yeah. Let's do it. Like a bounce. Okay, that's better. So at least we can handle 800 by 600. Let's go from there. This is how to present with a projector 101. Better? No, that's like widescreen. It was working before and you broke it. That's the same, but whatever. Anyways, we'll continue. So the problem today is kind of traditional, non-traditional talent. Knock this over. So, if any of you have had the experience and choice of hiring people or finding talent, we don't, as an industry, have the facility to find non-traditional talent, meaning the people like Mr. Robot and halt and catch fire folks and people that don't have degrees like myself or pieces of paper that says we know what we're doing or certifications. So we need to find more ways to capture that talent. That's a big part of why there's such a deficit within security, because there's half the people are in their basement with their moms, so we don't know where they are. Again, the other problem is like a cyber band-aid, right? I use the term that we're just like a gaping wound here, and we haven't. I don't know if you've been in the security industry, but we just keep piling off on all this security software and things and firewalls and blinky boxes, and you take a couple steps back and you realize we're just putting band-aids over shit and gaping wounds. And one day our kids will be like, what? You had firewalls and secure stuff and you had to do XYZ and you had passwords and what the hell? What's a password? So we'll get there. Software development lifecycle, people aren't writing secure software, right? Developers go to market and that's it, they don't care about security. We'll worry about it later. I think modern applications are baking in security, so you have to go like out of your way to write bad code. Or not bad code, but inherently insecure code. So newer code is a little safer, hopefully. They make it harder to be, insecure. Cloud is going to get worse, and privacy is already dead, and it's going to get worse, right? And I mentioned this, innovation is kind of halted by venture capitalists that can't make millions and millions of dollars off your box. So somebody might have the solution for all of this, but it's not getting funded because it's not going to make anybody millions of dollars. They can't put an agent on a Windows box, then they can't sell it, right? They can't make millions of dollars off of it. So that's, we've seen some technologies come through that essentially aren't agent-based that solve a lot of these problems. But because it can't make money, and we don't have a resource to manage that box, we're still in the where we're at. The basics, hard security 101, identity access management, passwords, password reuse, password vaulting. We need to get there, and segmentation is really bad. That's the one thing that always comes up anywhere is flat networks. Little to no segmentation. If I can talk to 200,000 systems from my workstation, that's not segmentation. And the firewall guys will get all upset, our network's segmented. It's like, if I can talk to 200,000 hosts on the corporate network, that's not segmentation. So try again. Okay, here's some more random, starting out random stuff. So, if anybody have cats that have a specific diet, like a fancy diet, well, what we had to do is, my wife had to hover over the cat bowl because one cat had a fancy, expensive food and she didn't want whatever, and then it was driving me nuts. She was driving me nuts. The cats were driving me nuts. So I made this little, bought 2 RFID cat doors, and then I stuck them into a foam cutout. Don't cut foam, melt it. So melt a knife, get it real hot, and use the knife to melt and cut instead of like getting styrofoam all over the freaking place. So anyways, cut little holes in the door, put a partition in the middle, food bowl on one end, food bowl on the other. Each cat takes about a week to train them, and they make funny noises until they finally figure it out. But so that's why I have these. So if anybody has that problem or wants to play with any of that, feel free to let me know. And if you have 2 cats, definitely utilize those because nobody likes hovering over and cats eating other cats' food. Let's see. Here's another random topic. Again, this talk is more just projects I've been working on, stuff that a lot of people don't know about. I get like 4 views on my LinkedIn post, so it's more of a notepad for myself and to help people track what my interests are. So I'm just kind of going over that and regurgitating stuff that nobody looks at. That's fun. So who here has to work through like corporate proxies and can't go to certain websites and they get filtered, right? Everybody's on a corporate network or something that gets filtered. Easiest way to do that is to set up operat0r or use OpenVPN. A lot of companies are gonna allow OpenVPN access. If you have the capacity, set up a Cisco VPN. You have to be able to check your corporate email, right? So they just allow anybody to connect securely over the internet, but they'll block Facebook. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's for Sally and accounting, right? That's what the proxy's for. It's for people trying to go to websites they shouldn't. But from a logical standpoint, it's freaking hilarious because it's like, oh, I can't tunnel out, I can't SSH out, I can't proxy out. Nothing's let me go out. Oh, well, I can open VPN and secure all my traffic. What's the point? So here's a quick example. Figure out if the firewall is stateless or not, or whatever the term is. So is the firewall just blocking a port? Or is it looking at the traffic and the protocol and saying, no, you can't do SSH over port 80, you monkey, I'm gonna block you. So a quick way to figure that out is to nmap login.oscar.aol.com, which is like AIM's login servers, which have every single port open. AIM and all the instant messengers, like Skype is the worst. Like if you want to traverse your network, Skype was really good about getting out of the internet, getting out, bypassing proxies and fires, because everybody wants Skype to work. So Skype just like allows everything to be open and will tunnel out and try to get out the best way it can. So you scan that, find out what open ports are, pick a random port. Usually the random ports are better than like 8443. So if you have obviously 8443, you're gonna be open because that's the internet, right? So I usually find some random port that like I don't even know it's attached to a service that's open, and that's usually a non or a stateless port that I can tunnel whatever traffic I want over it. But if it doesn't work, you know you have stateless people are looking at the traffic and they're dropping it because like you're trying to tunnel over port 4481, like what, then it drops you. So that's the easy way to find out if you're being blocked or not. Has anybody ever messed with like proxy chains before? Proxy chains? You want to grab a toy? You got all kinds of stuff. Camera, hat, shirts, a little mug, audio splitter, HDMI, 500 gig hard drive, ant farm, little tool thing, cat door. What, the ant farm's funny? Okay. Anyways, yeah, so this is basically proxy chains for Windows, and not a whole lot of people know about this application. So here's your SSH tunnel. If you don't know anything about SSH tunneling, this is Putton, and I've tunneled SSH into a server that's not on the corporate network, right? And they're allowing port, 443, but they're allowing SSH to go over port 443, which they should block, right? So I have a tunnel, but I don't have network layer permission to change the proxy settings in Chrome. So that's where ProxyFire comes in. And ProxyFire is basically a Windows application that's essentially proxy chains. So proxy chains lets you tunnel at least all TCP traffic over your proxy for any application you use. So you do proxy chains bash, and anything that you run after that command, all the traffic's going to tunnel through your proxy. And with proxy chains, the actual real Linux proxy chains, you can chain a bunch of proxies together. So you can have like they see in the movies, the guys like proxying through like 17 proxy servers. That's how they do it, kind of an example of proxy chains. So you can have some proxies let you do proxy chaining essentially. So you can have a list of like my proxy chains column has got like 60 or 100 proxies in it, and you can proxy chain at least 2 or more together, and then your traffic gets proxied through multiple proxies or whatever. Anyways, so that's an example of how to use proxy chains. But this is proxy chains for Windows. So if the application you have doesn't support proxy, then you can use proxy chains, and all the traffic after you launch proxy chains, everything you run after that, it hooks, and all your traffic goes over your tunnel. So it's pretty freaking awesome. I used it for WinApp way back in the day, and WinApp didn't have a proxy setting. So I used ProxyFire to tunnel all my traffic over to bypass the firewall to get to stuff I wasn't supposed to get to and listen to music. All right, any questions, any comments? Feel free to add anything I'm talking about that you think you can add value to, or anything that I should look at if any of this interests you or whatever. Feel free to sync up with me or just say, hey, I know about this, that, and it's cooler. So anyway, sorry. Portable applications. If you're a Windows person and you haven't messed with portability, it is definitely something to check out. I don't install anything but like VMware, 7-zip, Notepad++, and like WinPCAP. That's all I install on a Windows box. Everything else is portable. Office, of course, because we're not going to go into portable Office because that's annoying. So portableapps.com is free. They have tons of different portable applications. Most of mine are rolled or found somewhere else, or I made myself. So here's some examples of portable application virtualization platforms to help you build portable apps. Spoon Studio is pretty good. It's a GUI interface to, I don't know if you ever use any of those registry cleaners or any of that crap. So back in the day, they had, you install the registry cleaner, and then you turn it on, and then you install your app. And the registry cleaner app like sniffs everything that happens with Windows, and then when you're done, it captures that. And then when you uninstall the app, you go to the registry cleaner thing, and it says, "Oh, gonna delete all of these registry keys for you and clean up the thing." That's when Windows registry was just a mess, and you had to have registry cleaners. And you had to like monitor your registry for people like breaking stuff. So it works that same way, and it also virtualizes like the registry in most cases. And so Spoon Studio is a good one. VMware ThinApp is another is a commercial one. And Cameo, how do you pronounce that? Cameo or whatever, is a free one. So if you want to play around with application virtualization and bundling your own portable apps, that bottom one is a good place to start, because you can essentially make portable anything that you want. And it also works for most of the time commercial software. So you run ThinApp, and then you install the app, activate it, turn on the license, and then make the snapshot, and then you can just copy to your USB stick and run it, and not have to worry about, SIDS matching or computer name matching or interface matching or serials or keys or sometimes they hide serial stuff, license stuff inside of NTFS, alternate data streams. That's fun to play around with. I haven't played around with that. Alternate data streams, you can hide stuff. And
What do these products give you? What do they do for you?
They allow you to virtualize applications and make them portable in most cases. So the example would be if you're on somebody else's computer and you want all your extensions, all your plugins, everything to just work, you can use one of these to build a portable version of, not really Chrome, but a basic binary in most cases. And all you have to do is just put it on a USB stick, copy it to the cloud, whatever. So I have like a 6 gig USB folder that has all my portable stuff in it, like media, viewers, internet stuff, security folders that set off AV, and all kinds of crap. So I've been building that over the past 15 years of just stuff, and there's really old stuff in there too, but that's what it helps you do. And as an IT person, you're gonna be on a lot of people's computers, right? And as a post-exploit person, you're going to be on a lot of people's computers, and that portability is second to none because you don't have to install anything, and there's little to no footprint. And a lot of them, actually, when you screw something up, it's very easy to fix it. You just rename the folder of where your data gets stored within the portable application, and it goes back to when you first ran it. So you can essentially have snapshots of your virtual application as you run it. So you can have backups of your data folder, and you can go back and be like, oh, what was I doing at this point? And if it breaks, you can go back and fix it. So, yep. Here's another tool or set of tools that I kind of bundled together to make idiot-proof. I talk really quick, and mumble because it's still early for me. But anyways. Here is SAP BizSploit, which is from Onapsis. So does anybody show of hands SAP? Anybody US with SAP? Oracle? Or like Microsoft SQL? The new Microsoft SQL stuff. So a lot of these things during vulnerability assessments and pen tests are overlooked. Like, your old school, like old OS's, ZOS, and all that stuff are overlooked, and this is one of the ones that's overlooked is SAP. So I worked with SAP a fair amount. It's from a pen test vulnerability assessment, and I wanted an easy way to automate scanning SAP systems, and that's where this comes in. So it has its own nmap, and it has BizSploit with all the scripts in it. So you feed it an IP list of hosts you want to scan that have SAP or you think might have SAP, and automatically nmaps it, scans it, finds the open ports, feeds that to BizSploit, runs all the vulnerability checks for BizSploit, dumps out an HTML document, and we'll give you a report of 4 out of the 10 SAP servers have remote code execution on it. And a lot of important stuff is on SAP. So there's a lot of low-hanging fruit in that area that gets overlooked because vulnerability scanners don't do this. They don't check for SAP stuff. They don't check for web app stuff, and that's a whole nother conversation. Have any of you ever had to, made a good point over here, had to download something and then upload that to a server? Like, that's the most annoying thing to do in the world because you have to log into VMware to download anything. So you have to download this, 50 gig thing, and then you have to push it somewhere, and there's no easy way to download it. This is a example of a multi-threaded downloader via command prompt. It's ARIA2, ARIA2C. This allows you to feed it a list of URLs in a file, and this is how many like slices or swarms to download it. So we want 4 chunks and then 4 like max connections, and we want to download all these URLs, put it in this folder. And I don't remember what that does, but that's pretty cool app. So another example is using Burp Suite, which is a local proxy. And inside Burp Suite, you can run Burp Suite, sniff all your traffic, log into whatever dumb website you're trying to download something from, and push to another server. You log into there, and then the very last request you get, because what happens usually, if you ever looked at what happens when you actually download something, nowadays, you get like, you click a download link and you get forwarded off to like a CDN, concert distribution network, and then you get like 404 to here and then 302 redirect over here, and then you get, and the whole time you're passing cookies and authentication to God knows how many different places. And you're like passing all this authentication and cookie and picking up 404s and redirects. And then like 6 requests later, you actually get your executable or your file. So the problem with that is you can't do that remotely, right? You don't have a browser that like will run Java unless you use like Phantom.js or Selenium or something. But the way to do that is in Burp Suite. Once you have that last request, you can say, right-click the request and say, copy as curl command, and then you just dump that straight into your command line thing, and it'll download whatever executable or whatever the file is you need. So I use that a fair amount when I'm downloading either ISOs or images to servers, and then you get the idiots. They're like, oh, I gotta upload 16 gigs to this thing, download it, and then upload it to the server. Well, with curl in Burp Suite, you just right-click, copy as curl command, paste, boom, and you start downloading. And add to that multi-threaded, and you get it even faster. So it's a fun little. It's on LinkedIn. A lot of this is just my brain dumps and LinkedIn posts that I cobbled together this morning and yesterday. This is going to go over Chrome. I actually use Software Iron or Iron. Does anybody use that? It's like a non-Google Chrome, essentially. I don't know how much I believe it, but my portable Chrome got screwed up because if you log into Chrome, your extensions almost get like uploaded to the cloud or something, and then they get like encrypted or something. It basically makes portability not work. So if you ever have like portable Chrome, portable Firefox, I don't even think it does it with Firefox, it's just a Chrome thing. So once you log in with Chrome, it like puts your extensions in the cloud or something, and it screws up portability. So anyways, this is my kind of a brain dump of how my Chrome is set up. If you don't have any cloud backups or back up your stuff to cloud, Amazon has ODrive, or there's ODrive that works for Windows. And then Amazon EC2 or Amazon's cloud service is $60 a year. So they're trying to compete with folks like Dropbox. Now, it's not idiot-proof quite yet. I don't know if there's any better options out there for syncing with the cloud with Amazon Cloud besides ODrive. Does anybody know anything that's better than ODrive? No? Anybody worked with ODrive? Damn it. You guys are supposed to help me. Anyways, ODrive allows you to sync all your cloud content. So they have hooks for like Dropbox and Amazon and all of the cloud storagey things. And then it's like all your files everywhere. So they have like an ODrive for Android and whatever, and they have like a monthly subscription of like $5 a month. The free one will allow you to sync to Amazon Cloud, and it's free. And then Amazon's $60 a year. So I've heard people getting up to a terabyte with Amazon Cloud and not having any problems. So that's pretty ridiculous. Anyways, I'll sync all my stuff to the Amazon, the USB folder I was talking about. I'll sync that to the cloud. So here's my Chrome extensions. LastPass, if you're not doing password vaulting, stop everything you're doing and go install a password vault. LastPass is like, what, $15 a year or something. So find a password vault. If you want to do it locally and you don't bunch your passwords in the cloud, do it locally and encrypt it or whatever you want to do. But I just use LastPass, Password One, any of those folks. AdBlock Plus, of course, to block ads. Don't want to go into the dynamics of why you should block ads or why you shouldn't, anything. Turbo Download Manager is, again, it's kind of like a multi-threaded downloading application. Get them all also a multi-threaded or downloader for plugins. Camper Monkey allows you to essentially dynamically mess with content in the browser. So there's tons of like Grease Monkey scripts out there for basically any website you want to look a certain way or to remove copious amounts of BS. So there's lots of plugins for like LinkedIn, lots of plugins for Grease Monkey scripts for like Facebook. Or so it's essentially if you're on a website that's annoying, there's probably a Grease Monkey script to not make it annoying. There's thousands upon thousands of Grease Monkey scripts. And they also sometimes have legal issues because, you know, if you're futzing with stuff and they get a big enough footprint, then they'll like kind of change the code up so that the Grease Monkey script doesn't work anymore and then somehow it mysteriously disappears from off the website and you're like violating some kind of terms. But anyways, let's see. Ghostery is anti-tracking. So I've seen up to like 26 trackers on one website. So that's, you know, how you feel about tracking and ads. So this blocks ads. You need to do more than just block ads. You need to block trackers. Another one is magic actions for YouTube. That one's kind of shifty, but I haven't really done an assessment of it. But it makes YouTube look awesome. You can take out comments. You can just make YouTube just display the video and not all the crap that's wrapped around it, right? So magic actions for YouTube's good. Some of the Grease Monkey scripts I have that are vital are anti-ad blocker, which is, if you ever played video games back in the day, they had a thing called Punk Buster. Like, does anybody mess with Punk Buster? Ever had to hear Punk Buster? Yeah, it's old school. I think they still use it. I don't know if Valve uses it. If somebody uses Punk Buster, because I think it's on my gaming machine. Anyways, this is a Punk Buster, but for ads. So it's an ad blocker. Or, I don't know if I said blocker. Did I say blocker enough? I don't know. Anyways, so if you know, the website that you go to that says, please disable your ad blocker to continue to view this website. These guys are all about getting around that and still keeping your ad blocker doing what it's supposed to be doing. So donate to the cause, don't donate to the cause, but that is a critical thing to have in your browser is an anti-ad blocker. YouTube links, again, it kind of works in conjunction with magic actions to give you really cool interface to YouTube. And I don't actively watch YouTube videos from their player. I go to YouTube and then I right click YouTube links and download a multi-threaded of the YouTube video in like 8 seconds. And then I watch it with the VLC. I don't use YouTube's player, I don't look at their crap, and you know, sometimes I'll utilize YouTube for playlists and things like that.
So Robert, so do you use uBlock Origin then?
uBlock Origin? No, I've had that one too. My list here. So what does that do?
It's just the same as like AdBlock Plus.
Okay.
It functions more like a firewall.
Yes.
And same with Ghostery, disconnects the different version that doesn't sell their stuff with third parties.
Nice. Well, the reason I'm stuck with AdBlock Plus is that's how anti-ad blocker works. And I think anti-ad blocker supports a couple of other ad blockers, so I might look into switching from AdBlock Plus because they have the acceptable ads checkbox or whatever on by default. I'm not too concerned about it. I just don't want the internet to look like the internet. I want my content to look like content. Does anybody have any other favorite extensions for Chrome that I'm missing that are like vital?
HTTPS always, or everywhere?
Yeah, HTTPS everywhere, that's a good one, which breaks the internet. It's like NoScript. I mean, NoScript just breaks the internet, so I have it installed, but I have always disabled it, like everybody else in the world. Because the problem with NoScript, and I've been trying to work around this, I don't know if anybody has a solution, but everybody uses content distribution networks. So you go to Amazon.com and none of the content is from Amazon. It's all from the CDN. So then you're like, add CDN, add CDN, add CDN, add CDN, and then finally some of the website loads. And you're like, well, which one of these 15 websites has the content I need? So I think NoScript is in a bad position because the CDN's like broke NoScript. So I don't know if
It takes a while to tune it really well.
Really?
But
You have to
once
tune
you
it?
mess with it a lot, when
I'm
you first install it, you're going to
doing that for
be
days.
basically manually whitelisting
Everything.
you want, but after
What I was hoping is maybe, I looked on their forums and I was hoping that maybe somebody had like a whitelist of CDNs that I could feed into NoScript, which kind of defeats the point of NoScript. But I wish I had a whitelist of CDNs I could just dump into NoScript and like the internet would mostly work, right? Like Akamai and whoever all the other CDNs are, but NoScript is useless, essentially. Here's some story times. I've got a fair amount of time. I might just end up wandering around my LinkedIn page because I talk too fast. Here's PowerShell Empire. PowerShell has become very popular within the security community as a post-exploit tool because PowerShell lets you do anything. Run stuff in memory, bypass AV, everything. So these guys have been putting a lot of stuff together and merging a lot of PowerShell scripts and tools and binaries and like making just like, it's basically Metasploit for post-exploit. It does all kinds of cool crap. Runs in memory, and PowerShell is basically on every Windows computer nowadays. But this is an example of what a payload would look like, just a bunch of gobbledygook. And I'll go into that. But if you haven't played with, if you want to get into hacking and stuff, just start with PowerShell and go from there. And skip a lot of your old school stuff. That's the new hotness people are using. What is it, Veil or Veal framework is a good one to play with too. Between those two and like Metasploit, if you figure all three of those tools out and then work backwards from there and actually understand how they work, why they're getting blocked, things like that, you can be a pen tester very quickly. So here's a example from a real client. This is what happens every time we do pen test. You find, this was actually a physical test we did. So I'm USB Ducky, which is a programmable human interface device, which is essentially a programmable keyboard that you can put whatever you want. So what I ended up doing is making a PowerShell Empire payload for the Ducky, and you can just plug that into any computer that's not locked or whatever, and get a shell. Now I know the Hack5 guys came up with some kind of USB stick you plug in that does some kind of, without unlocking the computer, makes a tunnel. Does anybody have any details on that?
The land turtle?
Land turtle, okay. Because I know they had something called the turtle before that, but I don't really understand how it works, so I need to look into that or not, because
It
that's
shows up as an
something.
Ethernet device.
Yeah, you can use
Yeah.
it as a control, it's to plug in.
And then you set up a tunnel?
Yeah.
You can do that, yeah. It's basically a Unix box or a Linux box
Yeah, yeah.
embedded, but when you plug it into the machine, it shows up as an Ethernet device, and then you can tunnel it into it. And they've got a bunch of scripts. You can do VPN or SSH tunnels or whatever you want.
Without the computer being locked, right?
I think
Or unlocked.
that was recently
main.
where the Mubix found out that domain hashes were just being sent
Yeah.
every time you plugged into a network. And
Yeah.
it was using that to capture it, and yeah, you could just decode
Nice.
it.
So it's not giving you access to that computer, physical, like, it's not unlocking the machine, it's just giving you network layer access to that machine. right?
Yes.
On the network.
On the
finding
network
a
thing.
network interface
Yeah.
for it.
Okay, yeah. So it's almost like a pen test Dropbox,
Yeah.
basically. But, so, I was hoping it was like some kind of magical thing that like automatically gave me access to any computer without unlocking it. But that makes sense, that's better than nothing. But anyways, we had an Empire PowerShell payload for the payload, and this client did two bad things. They did, everybody has administrator, and UAC is disabled. Don't do either one of those, and certainly don't do them both at the same time. So if you're in a company and you have administrative rights and you have UAC turned on, go slap somebody, because that shouldn't happen. Even if you're an IT guy, you need to be doing it right. Don't run around with domain admin, and you should have multiple accounts and that whole thing. Anyways, so Sally walks away from her computer to actually go in a meeting that I was in with her. So she goes to the room and doesn't lock her machine, and I plug in the ducky and get a shell to her computer while we're sitting in a meeting together. It just could have been as well anybody else on the board, but so you have access to that system, no UAC, administrative level access. You can dump credentials. Does anybody mess with Emicats? Hands? Emicats? There's another one called Windows Credential Editor. That's just a command line tool that not a lot of people know about. That has two different binaries, and they just dump plain text. It's like Emicats, but it's just a single executable. Fun to play with. A lot of AV picks it up. Not so much Emicats in memory, at least. Anyways, so we were able to get the plain text password and/or hash to that system, to Sally's box. And then what I like to do is you get credentials, you spray across the network, and then whatever access you get, then you try to escalate there, and you keep spraying, get credentials, spray, get credentials, spray, and monitor all the boxes along the way until you find a domain administrator, and then you hijack that, and then you have domain admin. So the process here is Sally's computer, administrator, dump credentials, sprayed across the network. We have access shell on like 55 Windows systems. Then we dump the plain text of like Timmy, the IT guy, who's not a domain admin, but he has local admin to every single box, which is essentially domain admin. So poor Timmy, I get his plain text password. Then I log into the domain and add myself to the domain administrators group. And then the fun thing to do once you have domain admin is to log into Exchange. If they use Exchange, so in instance you can dump the plain text credentials of everybody's email, right? So we got like 295 plain text passwords. So we were able to log in as whoever we wanted to, CIO, and get that impact and show people that says, not only did we get domain admin, which nobody cares about, you show them a screenshot and say, hey, this is the CFO's email. And they're like, oh, crap. So showing impact and finding that level of fuzziness to say, is this going to scare anybody, or do we need to put this off the table and just tell IT that we got domain admin, or do we need to scare people? And usually you can get a feel for that from the client and go from there. So that's a pretty good example of how targeted attacks and stuff goes down.
So your foothold in this scenario was with the initial meeting with the client?
Yeah, it was not the initial meeting, but when we were on site doing physical, they gave us access to a conference room. And actually before that I was in a maintenance closet that I wasn't supposed to be in because the doors were too far apart. So you could just shove a paperclip and open the door. So we got some maintenance guy's USB stick and copied a bunch of stuff off of it, and got plans for all the layout of all the floors of all the buildings, because he was a maintenance guy, so he had all these plans and layouts. And, so that was kind of some of the stuff. But yeah, we were set in that room, and then Sally went off to join the meeting, and I said, well, we're doing physical tests, so I might as well take advantage of it. And that's where that was the initial foothold into the system. Usually now it's just password guessing. Spring 2016, spring, winter 2017, whatever it's going to be coming up. and you check. Usually, you check the two latest passwords. Password spring is what they call it. So you guess. I was overcomplicating the whole brute forcing, right? I was like taking client name and like obfuscating it, and like having like, you know, the word, the client name, and then like 7 different ways to spell it, like speak, and then I was feeding that, and it's not that hard. You get a dump of all the users, so you have like 30,000 users on the domain, and then you password spray with like Spring 2015, and then you get 8 shells. I'm like, oh, well, that was I was overcomplicating it. So, with that said, that's an easy way. Password spraying's fun. That's how most of the time you're going to get local lateral access to boxes, just by guessing welcome 123 or whatever their, figure out what the password policy is and build a couple of passwords just to spray across all the users and hopefully not get them all locked out. Here's another kind of story time. We talked about this one. Mousejack, is anybody familiar with Mousejack? Played with it before? These guys came out with a thing called Jacket, which is a script that runs on top of or in lieu of Mousejack that like makes it all idiot-proof. This is basically just me skiddying all of it. Skiddy powers activate. But anyways, so Mousejack allows you to inject keys, or Jacket is this automated script to inject keyboard commands into like wireless mouse dongles. So Sally in accounting or has a wireless mouse, and you can inject keys into it, and this helps you automate that process. The payload, of course, I usually use is an Empire payload, Empire shell payload. So and it really works almost everywhere. Everybody has wireless devices. So what I'll usually do with it is it's a crazy radio PA dongle. It's like $50. And apparently there's another one that you can do that's even cheaper that will get all the Logitech stuff. But anyways, you essentially snake through all the cubes to find all the wireless mice, and then you kind of stand in the middle of all the cubes and like launch the payload a couple times, and then you just start seeing shells pop up on your remote box. So you're injecting keyboard commands into other people's wireless mouse dongles that don't even have a keyboard plugged into it. So that's a cute little piece of technology. Not a whole lot of information about it. There was a DEF CON talk, I guess, that I'm missing some need to look up on. Here's some more kind of random stuff, kind of command line, foo. I think I've got a few more slides. Let's see. Right about time here. Yeah, doing okay on time. So, here's, I run as administrator on my gaming machine, and when you try to run Chrome as a different user, it just crashes. And the way Chrome works, it has its own sandbox, and it does all this stuff and launches a billion processes for Chrome. This is a way to get around that. So if you're running as an administrator, at least do this with Chrome. You create a new user that has no admin rights, and you're browsing with a limited user, and if you turn the sandbox mode off, that will allow you to run as a different user with Chrome as a limited user. And that way you can run as administrator on a Windows box, but you don't have to worry about getting popped through Chrome or whatever, because you're running it as a different user that has limited rights. So that's what I do on the gaming machine. I don't browse as administrator. I always use Chrome, and sometimes I accidentally use Internet Explorer and realize that, I'm an administrator, don't do that. Another fun one to play with is Nox App Player. I did a talk a couple years ago about Android portability, and if you want to get into Android development or figuring out how applications work, Nox App Player, it's like from China.com, so it's a little shifty. I wouldn't really trust it, but it makes it idiot-proof. Like Nox App Player is, has anybody ever messed with what's the one, like Jar of Beans or BlueStacks? Anybody? BlueStacks? Yeah. BlueStacks is so horrible. Knox App Player is awesome, except for it's like China.com, and I don't understand why they're giving it away. I think it's Windows only, and it actually I think it uses a portable version of almost like a VMware or a VirtualBox or something, because it has VMDKs or whatever, or VDI extensions. So I don't know, it's like a portable virtualization suite thing. But anyways, Knox App Player is freaking awesome because it gives you root and easy. You can drag and drop apps into it. You can I used it for my presentation, use the Knox App Player with Burp Suite, and you can snip all the traffic of whatever app you're playing with inside of Knox. So the reason I developed all this was that I was testing client applications with my personal device, right? So I said that A shouldn't be doing that, and B, I don't want somebody's client's garbage software screwing with my phone, because Lord knows what it's doing. It's simple things like the client app that I was testing was for a theme park, and the theme park had the app had inside of it had an application for find shops, right? So to do that you need GPS. So okay, that's fine, you can have my GPS, whatever. But it was actually sending my coordinates to the client, even though I wasn't in the theme park. And it's like, why are you collecting GPS coordinates when I'm not in your theme park? So it should be like, only send GPS coordinates if you're in this box, GPS box. So for whatever reason, they're collecting everybody's geolocation when they launch the application, even though they're not in the park. So everybody is collecting all information, and we're still trying to figure out corporations and everything are trying to figure out what to do with this data. And as they figure it out, privacy is just gonna go even worse to the crapper, and eventually we'll all stand up and go crazy and encrypt everything. I don't know what the solution is, but that's an example of using Knox. Census.io, has anybody ever played with that? Offline scans, offline data. It was a project of mine where we sent some work off to a third party internally, and I was like, get the client's external fingerprint, and they came back with like 16 IPs. I'm like, okay, that is not their fingerprint. They must have hundreds and tens of thousands of websites across the internet. So I started looking at passive reconnaissance, and you can essentially download scans of the internet that these guys have done, like basic stuff like 480, 443, SSL certificates. So you can essentially work with a client, and before you even sign any kind of letter of authorization, you can say, hey, look, here's all your SSL servers that have Heartbleed. It's like, here's your external footprint, and here's 15 servers on your network that have externally facing that had Heartbleed on them. And like, what? How did you find that? We haven't even done any work. We haven't done any work yet. Well, everybody's already done the work. So you download like 1.5 terabytes worth of data, and you just parse through it, and you can make all these cool assumptions and graphs about how the client footprint is. Who gets the annoying get Windows 10 update message multiple times? Update to Windows 10. No? Nobody? Yeah. So this is, they finally, after the second, they pushed multiple kinds of updates. Anyways, this is a registry key to get rid of that nag for Windows Update 10. Here's how to set file associations via the command line. So again, I don't install applications, any apps on Windows. So I don't have any file associations for any of my apps. So it poses a problem, right? So I have a bat script that essentially rolls through a list of file associations and sets them as the player. So here's 2 command lines to set file associations in Windows. This is just using VLC for every type of file extension that has to do with movies, and I just run it. It's called acc.bat, and boom, all my file associations are set inside of Windows. That's a fun one. Control your file associations. I also have one that's called F-type wipe that will wipe all remnants of Windows Media Player file associations. Because who's here to click on a movie and it opens up Windows Media Player and doesn't play? When has Windows Media Player ever played any of the videos you clicked on?
1999.
99? Yeah, when like everybody was, the only good codec was, what was it, WMV? That was the only one that people were using, was like, so that's how I use it. F-type wipes all the file types for video applications and gets rid of all Windows Media Player bullcrap, and it will never open with Windows Media Player until you update Windows Media Player, and then it stomps all over your freaking registry keys again. Anyways, here's a quick one. I think I have a few more minutes. Oh shit. Yeah, I have a few more minutes. Here is I do Myth TV, or actually Kodi, Plex, Couch Potato, Sonar. Anybody? Anybody with Plex? Maybe we can swap Plex accounts. We need to have a Plex party. And just everybody swap Plex accounts. I've been gotten into TV more recently than the past couple of years, setting up all this stuff. But what I found is that like, a lot of TVs are very dark. So these guys, the AVS HD people, came out with a set, a DVD set of all kinds of stuff to calibrate your stuff. That's really good to calibrate your TV and get those black levels correct. And what else is good on there? Black level clipping is what the video that's actually on my site that's good for doing black levels. You can also order a blue filter, like almost looks like 3D glasses, and you can filter the color and all that shit, which I haven't done yet, and make the colors perfect, well, close as perfect without having an actual scanner. Here's some references, notes. My website, of course. If you want to track security feeds or like updated security news, my support/scripts feeds is a bunch of RSS feeds that I parsed like 2014 or something. So half of them are probably useless, but I still look through it from here from time to time. The idea was to create one RSS feed for all like exploits or publicly released exploits, so I could look in there and be like, oh, there's a thing for BSD. Shit, I run BSD. Let me go and update that. So it's kind of a little thing to watch. What do you call it? Threat intelligence is the term we're using now, right? It is threat intelligence at its finest. Also, an easy in to security or understanding about how security works is all these podcasts. They're kind of sorted in order of the ones I like that are more technology focused. This one's actually not really technical, but it gives you an idea of what you should buy within enterprise, and they give you Paul Asadorian and whatever the other guys, they give you an honest opinion about a product, and they'll say that's garbage and I don't even know what it does, and their website says FUD. So Risky Business is good. That's a security pod. That's a Liquid Matrix. Southern Fried Security Podcast is actually in Atlanta, I think. So Polycom Security Weekly, SecureBit. So there's just some good security feeds to keep an eye on. I think that's most of my time. But usually, you can just scan through my LinkedIn profile and get an idea of the stuff that I play with. Little one-liners, scripts, stuff to make Windows. Most of it's Windows. There's free updates for Cisco. So if you don't have a support contract for Cisco, you call up and say, hey, I'm being exploited against this CVE. And they have to give you binaries for it. So that's how you get free updates for Cisco, is you call them up and say, hey, I'm getting owned via extra bacon exploit, and they'll give you the latest, greatest. Well, they will give you the oldest binary they will to fix that patch, that vulnerability. They won't give you the latest one, but they'll give you the last one that fixed the vulnerability that you. I'm like, come on, man. So in 3 months, I have to call you back up and say, I'm getting attacked by this vulnerability. Give me another binary. So they don't like me very much there, because I call them up and then I had to try to get another guy to do it. He's like, they say I need a support contract. No, you're doing it wrong. You gotta keep hammering on them and keep opening up tickets, and eventually they'll give you the binaries. It takes a while. But anyways, any questions or comments? There's the file C. Taking control of your files for VLC. There's a attribution, flash-based attribution tool. It's kind of funny. Come on, man. Anyways, it's a flash-based thing that says, like, you shake the ball and it says, insider threat or China or little lobby tables, and I added some some custom ones. Enter webs. Yeah, here it is. It's Flash, so it won't really work for that much longer. Lobby tables. This should work. I'm gonna download it. Do I have Flash installed? Let's find out. Yeah. So, yeah, you could be. And if you have a threat, so, teenager. Rob Graham. I actually stole this from Dual Labs. Yeah, Dual Labs. Because they wouldn't send me one of the attribution 8 balls, so I had to make a Flash-based one. I'm supposed to get you. So you can use this when your, CFO asks you how you got compromised. You just go here and click on it, and it'll tell you how you got owned. Armorcurry.com. No. Let's skip that one. Anyways, does anybody want to grab any of this stuff? Feel free to come up later and grab whatever. This is a camera that I can't get the drivers for. This is supposed to keep cats off of your furniture, but if you have a Maine Coon, they don't hear it. So I bought it, and then I'm like, why is it not working? And the first comment is like, we have a Maine Coon, and they can't hear it because their ears are funny. Thank you. Appreciate it.